The young and the restless spoilers shock. In the heart of Genoa City, where sunlit facades and manicured lawns mask the undercurrents of ambition and betrayal, Sharon Newman's world stands on the verge of ruin. For years, Sharon has cultivated an image of unwavering strength, resilience forged in the crucible of heartbreak and recovery. She has lived through the fractures of failed marriages, the abyss of loss, and the whispers of scandal that have trailed her like a shadow. Yet nothing in her tumultuous past could have prepared her for the cataclysmic revelation that Mariah Copeland has been harboring, a secret so destructive that it threatens not only to shatter Sharon's current marriage but to rip apart the very fabric of her identity and the lives of everyone she holds dear. From the moment Mariah returned from that fateful business trip, her behavior carried the weight of unspoken guilt. The Mariah who once radiated confidence and sincerity seemed to wither under the scrutiny of her own conscience. Tessa Porter, whose empathy and perceptiveness have become her greatest assets, first sensed the tremors of Mariah's unease. In late April, Tessa noticed the way Mariah's laughter faltered, the way her eyes darted away when conversation veered toward the future. Attempts to dismiss these concerns with half-hearted explanations, a late meeting, a scheduling conflict, a bout of jet lag, rang hollow in Tessa's ears. Something far more portentous lay at the root of Mariah's furtive glances and restless energy. For weeks, Mariah's secret carved invisible lines on the walls of her home, lines only she could see, etched in the margins of her daily life. Bills went unpaid, invitations went unanswered. And in the dead of night, she would find herself standing before the mirror, as though seeking absolution in her own reflection. The first inkling Sharon had that all was not well came on an otherwise ordinary evening in early May, when Mariah confessed a drunken mistake that she claimed to have made months ago. The words should have been innocuous, a slip of judgment, a lapse in discretion, but Mariah's trembling admission carried the same weight as a confession before a jury. In the hushed silence that followed, Sharon felt the walls of her carefully constructed marriage begin to quake. If Mariah feared losing everything by confessing, then the stakes were infinitely higher than a forgotten errand or a clandestine rendezvous gone awry. What Mariah failed to anticipate was how far the shockwaves would travel once her secret saw the light of day. Genoa City thrives on gossip. It swallows scandal for breakfast and regurgitates it at cocktail parties. A whisper here, a rumor there, and suddenly the whole town knows. Word of Mariah's bombshell spread faster than wildfire in a dry season. One by one, Sharon's friends and confidants confronted her with scraps of overheard conversations and tantalizing hints. Nikki Newman, ever the matriarch, pressed Sharon for answers even as she struggled to reconcile the fierce loyalty she felt toward her longtime friend with the cold dread creeping into her own gut. Phyllis Summers, who has known Mariah since childhood, oscillated between disbelief and protective rage, determined to shield her daughter from ruin yet powerless to contain the fallout. As the truth clawed its way out from the shadows, every aspect of Sharon's life began to unravel. Her marriage to Ray Rosales, once the anchor that steadied her through past storms, now found itself buffeted by questions of trust and betrayal. Ray, whose devotion to Sharon has been unwavering, grappled with the realization that the woman he vowed to love and protect had been kept in the dark by her own flesh and blood. Their nightly exchanges, once filled with tenderness and shared plans for the future, turned into terse negotiations over what should have, and should not, have been told. The dinner table, once a place of laughter and easy conversation, descended into strained silences and glances weighted with suspicion. Across the city, the broader community braced for the tidal wave of repercussions. The Newman-Abbott business feud, already simmering beneath the surface, found fertile ground in Mariah's secret. Victor Newman, who has built his empire on ruthless pragmatism, saw an opening to exploit Sharon's vulnerability for his own gain. At the same time, Jack Abbott, ever attuned to the shifting power dynamics, recognized that a scandal of this magnitude could tilt the scales in his favor. Boardroom alliances shifted as corporate insiders whispered about how the turmoil in Sharon's personal life might undermine the Newman brand, and by extension, threaten the balance of power at Jabot. Yet even as resistance mounted on every front, Sharon summoned a reservoir of strength that belied her shaken exterior. She remembered the nights she had spent consoling her children through their own trials, the moments she had found the courage to rebuild her life after devastating lies, and the fierce protectiveness she felt toward those she loved. In private, she pored over every detail of Mariah's confession, determined to understand the full extent of the damage before deciding her next move. Was this an act of desperation? A misguided attempt by Mariah to unburden her conscience before the secret consumed her wholly? Or was there something more sinister at play, a betrayal meticulously planned to inflict maximum pain? Meanwhile, Mariah herself teetered on the brink of collapse. The guilt that had driven her behavior since her return from that trip now manifested in sleepless nights and fevered attempts to amend what could not be undone. She sought out Tessa's counsel in a moment of crisis, only to find that her friend, though empathetic, could offer little solace in the face of such a monumental breach of trust. The ghost of her own deception haunted her every interaction, rendering even the simplest gesture of affection toward Sharon laced with the poison of unspoken truths. As the city braced for the fallout, one question loomed above all others: could Sharon Newman emerge from this ravaged landscape not only intact but renewed? From the fragments of her fractured world, could she piece together a new path forward, one defined not by the sins of her family but by her own capacity for forgiveness and resilience? In a drama where loyalties shift like dunes and secrets wield the power of nuclear devices, Sharon's response would reverberate far beyond the walls of her home. It would set the tone for an entire community grappling with the notion that the people we trust most are often the ones capable of inflicting the deepest wounds. In the days to come, Genoa City will witness love and loyalty tested by fire, alliances forged and broken in the crucible of crisis, and the unyielding determination of a woman who refuses to be defined by another's betrayal. Whether Sharon's marriage survives or succumbs to the shockwaves unleashed by Mariah's secret remains to be seen. But one thing is certain: the reverberations of this revelation will echo through every corner of Genoa City, reminding us all that even the most carefully guarded facades can crumble under the weight of truth, and that it is only through courage and conviction that we can rebuild what has been broken. All signs point to a betrayal more profound than a single lapse in judgment. Mariah's fleeting moment of weakness on that business trip was not a harmless indiscretion she could bury and forget. It was a secret of seismic proportions, one that has found every crevice through which to surface in a town like Genoa City, where privacy is a luxury few can afford. When Tessa confided in Daniel Romolotti that Mariah did something, she wasn't merely seeking sympathy, she was sounding the alarm on a devastation so deep that even the strongest marriages could crack under the pressure. If Mariah believed her clandestine actions would remain locked inside her conscience, she miscalculated the tenacity of rumors and the lengths to which people will go to uncover the truth. Seeking solace in Daniel rather than turning to her husband was the clearest indication yet that her guilt had begun to override the very bonds she hoped to preserve. In a union built on transparency and mutual support, the moment a spouse turns outward for comfort instead of inward toward the one they vowed to stand by, the marriage itself teeters on the brink of collapse. For Sharon Newman, whose journey through motherhood has already demanded more fortitude than most could muster in 10 lifetimes, this may be her most formidable trial. She has weathered her children's brushes with scandal, navigated threats to their well-being, and fought tooth and nail for custody when the forces arrayed against her seemed insurmountable. She has faced down public humiliation and private heartbreak, emerging each time battered but unbroken. Yet the revelation of Mariah's duplicity presents a unique torment. An assault not only on the marriage she cherishes but on the trust and emotional security she has worked so tirelessly to cultivate in her family. As a mother, Sharon's fiercest instinct is to protect her children from harm, to shield them from the storms of adult deceit. Yet now she must confront the terrifying possibility that those she loves most may themselves be the source of the tempest. In the days ahead, Sharon will be forced to choose between two agonizing paths: to cling to the hope that Mariah's secret was born of fear and shame rather than malice, or to face the harsh reality that her daughter's actions may have been an act of willful betrayal. Either choice carries consequences that threaten to reshape the Newman family forever. As Genoa City braces for the full impact of this coming storm, one thing is certain: Sharon Newman's greatest role, as mother, wife, and guardian of her own legacy, will demand every ounce of courage she possesses. And whether she ultimately finds a way to forgive and rebuild or decides that some breaches of trust are too vast to mend, her response will echo far beyond her own household, setting the course for every life intertwined with hers in this town of secrets, lies, and relentless ambition. From Sharon's vantage point, the betrayal cuts deeper than any she has ever endured. She remembers Mariah as a frightened child, thrust into a world of corporate machinations when Victor Newman identified an opportunity to mold a neglected soul into his own instrument. Sharon was there when Mariah first stepped into the Newman mansion, her features drawn with uncertainty, her hands trembling as she dared to hope that someone might truly care for her. Over the years, Sharon took Mariah under her wing, nurturing her gently yet firmly, teaching her the difference between loyalty and obligation, between love that heals and love that wounds. She watched with unguarded pride as Mariah blossomed into a compassionate woman, one whose loyalty to family and integrity of heart shone brighter than any ambition Victor might have tried to plant. Now, Sharon finds herself forced to witness the painstakingly constructed life she helped Mariah build crumble in slow motion. Every memory of shared laughter, every late-night conversation in which Sharon guided Mariah through the uncertainties of adulthood, feels tainted by the knowledge that one reckless choice has rendered them all fragile. Sharon's throat tightens as she recalls the look on Mariah's face the moment she confessed, eyes reddened, shoulders slumped in shame, as though she bore the weight of the world on her slender frame. Sharon wanted to comfort her daughter, to reassure her that a single mistake did not define her, yet the enormity of the secret revealed left Sharon breathless, struggling to reconcile the Mariah she knew with the woman capable of driving a wedge so deep into her own family. Self-reproach becomes Sharon's constant companion. She finds herself replaying every lesson she taught Mariah: the importance of honesty, the sanctity of marriage vows, the strength that comes from turning to one's spouse for solace. What had she missed? Had she ever truly conveyed to Mariah the gravity of turning away from one's partner in search of comfort? Sharon's mind races back to the evenings she spent working late, drafting press releases for Chancellor Winters or overseeing the family's wellness initiatives. Had these duties distracted her from noticing Mariah's creeping isolation? Each what-if stabs at her maternal heart, and by night's end, Sharon often lies awake, grappling with the knowledge that even the most devoted guidance can sometimes fall short of preventing a loved one's downfall. The timing of this revelation mocks her at every turn. For the first time in years, Sharon had found stability in her marriage to Ray. Their home was balanced between the chaos of Genoa City and the tranquil moments they carved out for themselves, simple dinners under soft lighting, the warmth of Ray's hand in hers as they planned a future free from the ghosts of past betrayals. Sharon had finally allowed herself to believe in normalcy, to trust that the cycles of ruin and recovery had given way to something lasting. Now she must once again assume the mantle of crisis manager, coordinating therapy sessions to help Mariah navigate the guilt that threatens to consume her, arranging support for Tessa, whose empathy has made her both confidant and casualty in this family upheaval, and seeking counseling for herself, lest the crushing responsibility of atoning for Mariah's mistakes break her spirit. In the mirror, Sharon searches her own reflection for the strength she knows resides within her. The lines around her eyes speak of sleepless nights and battles fought long before this latest storm. She presses her palm against the cool glass and steels herself. There is work to be done. She must summon the compassion to separate Mariah's misstep from her true character, the conviction to demand accountability without abandoning her child in her hour of need, and the resolve to protect the sanctity of her marriage even as its foundation trembles. And all the while, She must project the calm confidence that so many in her orbit have come to rely upon. For her vulnerability will only fan the flames of gossip and weaken the fragile bonds holding her family together. The road ahead is strewn with difficult conversations and painful reckonings. Sharon envisions herself guiding Mariah through each step. First, a confession unburdened by shame, where truth is laid bare without artifice. Next, the ritual of apologies, spoken not as hollow words but as promises to rebuild trust brick by brick. And finally, the slow work of forgiveness, in which both mother and daughter must learn that love can endure even when the unthinkable occurs. Beside them will stand Ray, whose own faith in Sharon will be tested, yet whose loyalty has always been her North Star. Together, they will attend family sessions, introduce new boundaries, and redefine the terms of their relationships in light of this seismic event. In the heart of Genoa City, where many would spin the occasion into scandal for sport, Sharon intends to forge a different path. She will confront rumors with candor, silencing whispers through a demonstration of unity rather than a show of anger. She will protect Mariah from the merciless judgment of a public that delights in spectacle, reminding her daughter that redemption is not only possible but deserved. And through it all, Sharon will hold fast to the lesson she has imparted so many times before: that the truest test of a person's character is not the absence of mistakes but the courage to face them, the humility to make amends, and the grace to move forward. As the morning light filters through her bedroom window, Sharon closes the chapter on self-doubt and opens one of determined action. The next several days will be fraught with emotion, some bitter, some healing, but Sharon Newman, who has survived devastation in countless forms, knows that this too shall be weathered. For in a family bound by love, even the darkest moments can serve as crucibles for growth, forging bonds stronger than any secret could ever sever. And in the cradle of that hard-won strength, Sharon will find not just recovery but a renewed vision of herself as both a mother and a guardian of the fragile yet magnificent tapestry that is her family's legacy.